This is not to be confused with the Barack Obama movie of the same name. Those are two very different projects. Barry Season 1. This is a show that started airing on HBO earlier this year. I finally got around to checking out. Everybody on Twitter I heard said, check out Barry, check out Barry, check out Barry. Barry's the best show ever. And I'm like, I'll get around to checking out Barry eventually. I went on HBO Go, I watched all of Barry, and Barry has joined a very elite club in the John Hayeck record books. Only 2 seasons of television have I ever watched in less than 12 hours of when I started them. I started Barry at like 1 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon, and I finished it by 10 o'clock that night. I watched the first half, went to see Deadpool 2 again, finished the second half. It was incredible viewing material. And I'll tell you guys why you should watch Barry for 3 reasons. 1 is the character work, 2 is it fulfills everything it sets up, and 3 is the timing. But first of all, I'll tell you what Barry's about. Barry centers on Barry, played by Bill Hader, and it's not a typical comedic role for Bill Hader. Instead, Barry's a guy who's returned from Afghanistan, he's trying to live his normal life and everything, but instead of getting a job as like a lawyer or, a contractor or an auto parts salesman, he's a guy that is a contract killer. His friend Fuchs says, hey Barry, if you go kill this guy, you're gonna make a ton of money because somebody is paying me and us to kill this guy. So Barry gets these hits from Fuchs, Barry carries them out, Barry gets paid for it. And then one day at the very beginning of the show, Barry hears that if he goes to LA and carries out a hit for this group of Chechen mobsters, he'll get paid a ton of money. So Barry's like, yeah, I'm totally gonna do that. He goes to LA, but instead of hitting his target as he's supposed to, he accidentally befriends his target. He gets involved in the same acting class as his target. He winds up making friends in that acting class, and then things start to go wrong. The Chechens are mad at him, the Chechens are mad at Fuchs, the police might be onto the Chechens, the police might be onto Barry in general. It's a show that not only combines some violence with some mob drama, with some comedic mob timing, but also with some personal drama. What's going on in Barry's life? Does he want to be in this world and everything? And the thing, as I mentioned up top, that I really loved about the show is that it dealt with the characters so well. I thought that it's Barry Berkman, I think. He also goes by Barry Block. Barry Berkman is a character that doesn't feel like he's full out Dexter Morgan or anything. He isn't a serial killer because he likes to kill and needs to fulfill the dark passion inside of him or anything like that. He does it because it's what he knows. He was in Afghanistan. He killed people. That's what he had to do when he was a soldier and everything. He comes back. He kills people now. But then he starts to have a kind of conflict of ideologies. He's wondering, should I be killing these people? Some of these people have families. It's a thing that he doesn't feel like Dexter Morgan per se. He has some Dexter Morgan in him, especially in some of the facial reactions that he gives. At times, he really even looks like Michael C. Hall, Bill Hader does. But he also reminds me of Baby from Baby Driver, where he realizes he doesn't want to be in this world forever. He might be able to have a life. He might be able to have this romance with another person. He might be able to have this connection. He might be able to have a family someday. It's one of those things that really makes you think, is he able to get out of this world, or is it something that's just going to keep drawing him back in? Is he inclined to keep carrying out these hits, or can he stop when he wants and everything? The idea of can he stop when he wants was a big theme that runs throughout the season that I thought was perfectly well done. Not only Barry, though, I thought all the characters in the season were quite good. Sally's kind of the romantic lead opposite him, and she takes a turn around in the middle of the season where I'm like, I don't know if I dig this, but then it winds up coming back around again, and she's really charming. She plays off Barry really well, and I like seeing that Barry and her interact in a way that doesn't feel like he's a serial killer and she's just the sweet girl that falls from, but he can be charismatic at times, and he can show that he really cares about her and stuff, and she can also be like, oh, you are a little bit weird, I'm gonna get away from you for a little while. It was really good seeing that these were three-dimensional characters who acted different ways depending on how the situation presented them. Henry Winkler plays the acting teacher who's a jerk, and I thought that was a hilarious role for him. He's kind of a relationship with a police officer that's on the scene of the crime and everything, and the two of them were just super funny anytime they got together. The mobsters in the show as well, there were kind of like 3 or 4 that always showed up, but there were 2 in particular, these 2 bald guys that were always hilarious. One of the guys is like, alright, we can't torture you now because my daughter's having a sleepover in the other room. It was so funny, and I thought that he was, honestly, he didn't have like tons to his character, and he didn't like evolve through the season or anything like that, but his consistency as both a dad and a Chechen mobster was so funny, and his little sidekick I thought was just slimy in the best possible way, and he was also just like, the sidekick was always just this like squeamish guy that you realize doesn't want to be in the situations that he's in. He's kind of just doing it because, again, it's what he knows. So it was funny stuff. I really liked all the characters that showed up throughout the season. I thought that they were all great. Janet from The Good Place is also in the show. I'm like, how do I know her? And then I'm like, oh my god, it's Janet. It was so funny. Actors did an awesome job. Second thing I want to tell you guys about, though, is that the reason why this show works well is because it hits everything it sets up. So many shows will just set up these like random things, and you're like, oh, is that going to wind up paying off later? Nope. All right, let's forget about it then until the next season. Sometimes shows will have like cliffhangers, like big momentous things happen, and then the next season just either ignore it or don't address all that much, or they just kind of resolve it in one episode. In this show, anything that's set up from the very beginning of episode 1 to the very end of episode 8, it's all addressed. It's all bookended to the point where I don't know where they can go with season 2 now, because everything is bookended so perfectly. I do have my ideas of where season 2 can go, but I feel like this season was just such a perfect, it was like a movie. It was like a 4-hour movie of 8 installments of 30 episodes apiece. It felt like it was just that perfectly done, that perfectly interwoven. I can't think of a single plot line that isn't resolved. And if you get to like the last episode and you're like halfway through the last episode and you're like, wait a second, there's like 3 or 4 plot lines that haven't been resolved yet. Just wait until you get to the end of that final episode. I promise you. It's all so satisfying and so fulfilling, because so many shows don't carry out on all the promises they set up, but this show does, and it shows that it's just careful writing that's executed with great acting. And the third thing I want to tell you guys about is the timing of the show, because the show it's not a comedy, even though it's broken into 30 episode chunks. It's more so a dramatic show with black comedy woven into its seams. It feels like one of those shows that isn't supposed to be funny but is funny because of things that happen, and because some characters can be goofier than you might have expected them to be, and certain characters put themselves into positions that are darker than you would expect. It's kind of like the movie The Martian. You remember The Martian had like a really funny character, but it was ultimately a story about human drama. It's like that. It balances the humor and comedy with the dark drama really well, and I thought that was super impressive that a show can do that. And I'm also really happy that HBO has this show, because it shows that not every drama with some comedy in it needs to be 45 minutes or 60 minutes long or anything like that. It shows that if you have a drama that you can put a little bit of comedy into, you can keep it 30 minutes and you can just tell it in 4 hours instead of doing, 8 episodes that might feel like it has too much filler in it. So props to HBO for making the good decision on how they wanted it to be formatted. Props to Bill Hader for giving an amazing performance, and props to the entire cast for giving really convincing and really well-timed performances. I also think that the consistency of the show just made it above the edge perfect for me. Guys, I loved Barry. Again, I watched the entire thing in like an entire, from 1 o'clock on Wednesday to 10 o'clock on Wednesday, finished the entire thing. I think you guys do the same thing if you can get into Barry. Let me know all of your thoughts on Barry if you're watching in the comment section down below. You guys can go over to mymoviethoughts.com, follow me on Twitter at JohnHayeck, and subscribe to this YouTube channel for tons more posts from me as well. Links all through those in the description down below. You guys can also like this video, comment on it, share it with some friends. I am John Hayeck, as always. Thank you guys so much for watching.